In Frederick County, people know the names, but not always the stories. This is The Last of the Good Old Boys, hosted by Blaine Young and Billy Shreve. Each episode, we sit down with the movers and shakers of Frederick to talk about the moments, the risks, and the values that shaped who they are today. From the people who helped build Frederick County, this is The Last of the Good Old Boys.
Good old boys, I'm your host, Blaine Young, and of course, Billy Shreve's joining me, and we'll zoom him in a minute. We're actually broadcasting at, our new, beautiful, incredible facility, studio.
This place is great, man.
Oh, Danny, people allowed to come in here and say hi? Absolutely, they are. So
I took my shoes off at the door. This place is so nice.
It's wonderful. So we're over here on off of Warman's Mill Court. Actually, you can swing down and get a Domino's pizza and drop in. I like
that's a great idea.
Double pepperoni, thin crust. We've got a couple guests tonight, but our first guest, I've been watching this cat, or I should say, I gotta watch my slang. I've been watching this dude, man. And
that's the nicest thing you've probably said today.
That's a compliment. And what I'm saying is I have watched this gentleman's story, and I knew him when he was young. He played ball here locally at Governor Thomas Johnson High School. Actually, first signed on with the Matha and played for Thomas Johnson. And I thought I could shoot 3-pointers. This guy, he shoot threes like nothing. Just light them up. Need more than high top socks and socks up to the kneecap. And he's had an incredible life journey, like us all, especially me. I've had a life journey. And he is helping a lot of folks. He lives in Alabama, in Birmingham, Alabama now. If those that watched Governor Thomas Johnson back in the day and followed his career, Jason Williams, not the white chocolate Jason Williams, but he's close to the white chocolate Jason Williams. He just can't pass like that. He can shoot like that. But before we bring Jason on, I want to cue it up with about a 6-minute video of his story. So if we can go to that video, and then we're gonna be talking to Jason and what he's doing in Birmingham, Alabama, and how he's helping mentor a lot of youth and change the direction of get people back on the right track. So let's go to that video now, Danny.
Growing up, I had this vision that I would die before the age of 25 years old. It was a reality. I had buried my best friend who I grew up with. I had seen death often. And so for me, 25 years was pretty much the max. Turns out that all along, I was right. I grew up in a professing Christian home in the DC metro area, and my parents were new believers. Probably the hardest thing for me as a kid was growing up and seeing these discrepancies within my dad, who was the biggest image of Christianity, who woke up early to pray, who read his Bible often, yet he was the same man who verbally, physically, and emotionally abused my mom. He was the same man who had a sexually illicit relationship with my sister, which was his stepdaughter. And I just remember asking myself, if God is supposed to be so powerful, so loving, then why did he put me in this broken family? If God and his people are supposed to be so kind and so gracious and so merciful, then why am I seeing the opposite? Trying to answer questions apart from having the influence of a father is challenging. Who am I? What am I here for? What does it all mean in the end? And I pursued my identity through power, pleasures, and possessions to try to fill me up, to give me an identity, to give me a purpose in life. And so without having a father who was investing in me, I looked to those guys in the streets as my idols, as my heroes. I looked up to the drug dealer on the corner. I looked up to the rapper. I tried to emulate these guys and live the lives that they lived. So by age 18, I had brought 2 kids into the world, but no marriage, no wife, simply the results and consequences of sinful living. I was living a life of self-absorption. To answer the questions of identity and purpose was all about me. It was what I wanted to do. And so I pursued my purpose of being in the NBA. I had a very successful high school basketball career. During that time, I was heavily recruited. Had opportunities to go to many Division I schools, and I chose George Mason University in Fairfax, Virginia, right outside of DC. Had a very successful freshman year there. In the conference, I averaged 17 points a game. I broke the record for three-pointers for a freshman. Just really was on the trajectory that I thought I would always be on, which is to one day play in the NBA. So after my freshman season, I neglected my coach's request to go to summer school. And within a week of the summer, I was arrested and charged with 3 felonies for drug trafficking. It was then that I was kicked out of school, expelled from George Mason University, and that next year would be one of the darkest years of my life. After a year of being in and out of jail, I was given another opportunity, a second chance at a junior college in Florida, where I became one of the top 20 junior college transfer prospects. And after looking at a number of colleges, I chose Georgia State University in Atlanta, Georgia. The one issue was my grades were so bad that I had to go to summer school in order to be eligible to play. I never stepped foot on campus to community college to get my grades up. I immediately fell back into the same lifestyle that I had been living previously. So I got on the phone with my coach in Florida and begged him to find me a scholarship. I remember telling him, I'll go anywhere you send me. I'll go anywhere there's a scholarship available. Within 4 days, I found myself on a plane to Birmingham, Alabama with 2 bags of clothes. After 2 weeks of being on campus at Birmingham Southern College, I meet this girl, and she's beautiful, she's smart, she's intelligent, but she's also a Christian. I remember she would invite me to church, and I would get that Sunday morning stomach bug is what I called it. And I'd be like, no, I can't go to church. Finally, one Sunday I went with no motives of going to church to learn anything. I simply wanted to look at the competition and see why they kept going there on Sundays and Wednesdays and what was the draw of this place. So I'm revisiting these questions of who am I? And I realized that who I was a sinner in desperate need of the forgiveness of Jesus Christ. I had this vision growing up that I would die before the age of 25. I did die a day before my 25th birthday. Wasn't the way I thought, but I died to my flesh and became a follower of Jesus Christ. After becoming a believer and a follower of Jesus Christ, I developed 2 immediate passions. One was for the Word of God. The other was finding my place in God's redemptive story. My story, my testimony of God's grace and how He brought me through the situations that He did really placed a burden inside my heart for urban at-risk youth. It was in these experiences that God narrowed my focus to reaching at-risk youth. We currently have over 38,000 fatherless in Birmingham City alone. But one of the glaring things I've seen as well, an at-risk group that you may not be as familiar with, is the church. 1,600 churches in Birmingham metro area. We can have a church on every block, yet vast disparities in our city as far as equality, vast disparities as far as fatherless youth. If this gospel, which is built on reconciliation, is true, then why is it not knocking down the walls? Is it a problem with the gospel, or does the problem lie with us?
And here he is from Birmingham, Alabama, Jason Williams. How you doing, Jason?
Man, I'm fantastic, man. Great seeing you, Blaine.
Man, I tell you, first I want to start off and say 2 things. First, I'm in awe of you. I admire you. And man, do I have so much respect for your story and how you're helping others and helping at-risk youth. talk a little bit about, I knew some of your story. We knew each other well, but, obviously you've been out of Frederick for how long now?
My gosh, I boarded that plane to Birmingham in 98, August of 1998. And so other than coming back, visiting family and friends a few times, I try to get up there once a year. But as far as Frederick goes, I'm usually kind of, DC and Gaithersburg area. So I've only probably been to Frederick maybe a handful of times. I remember when I first went downtown and saw like the new creek and the shops. And I was like, what is this, man? I can tell I've been away a while.
Where does this come from?
Yeah, I've been away a while.
And you saw those socks that I was mentioning in that highlight clip, because I'm telling you, I mean,
bro, I wore about 8 pairs, man. I mean, I cut like 6 of them. So, 6 of them weren't actually whole socks. They were just the tops. But, that's how you get them so high, is you just pull them all the way up and then crinkle them up. So, yeah, man.
That was a separate video on that, like how to do that.
How to do the socks.
Should make a TikTok.
That's a how-to. Yeah, that's a TikTok. I tell you, I mean, I knew how good you were in basketball. I did not know, honestly, how entrenched you were going through struggles with who you were hanging out with in the circles.
Yeah.
And even, as you like to say, going from a dope dealer to a hope dealer.
Yeah.
I had no clue. I mean, it sounded like, you were in the mix.
I was in the mix, man. I'll never forget when I came back from DeMatha. You mentioned I went to DeMatha and played there freshman, sophomore season. And then when I came back my junior year, it was very early. We weren't even in the season yet. It was just kind of pickup ball. And, we're playing, and like about $10,000 comes out of my shorts, man, while we're playing. And I mean, it wasn't banded or nothing, man. It just whoosh, making it rain. And I ain't talking threes. And I'll never forget, man, because later that night, my mom came up to me and was like, hey, Coach Dickman called me and said, you had a large amount of cash on you. And, by this time she kind of knew I was involved. I mean, part of the reason I ended up back at TJ was because I was living down in DC and I was selling drugs, and they were like, we need to get him back here, kind of protect me from that. But as you know, you can move anywhere, but you still the same. You need to change.
Still the same person.
Well, I like the question you asked, because it's a question I've asked many times, because I am a follower and believer in Jesus Christ. Why God? I used to say that. Why God?
Yeah.
Why is this happening to me? Why are you doing this to me?
I think a lot of people ask that. And I think, unfortunately, we're taught not to ask those kind of questions. We're kind of taught to just, suck it up, man, and have faith and believe. And oftentimes, spiritualize everything and not recognize that we're human beings, man. Like there's things that happen in our minds and our brains from the things that we've gone through that respond for us. We don't get a conscious choice in the matter sometimes. And so, going through all of that, it was just real cleansing for me.
And then, like I said, through basketball, obviously you were afforded a lot of grace and second chances, third chances. Probably people knew that you could really play, light it up. Coaches think, well, maybe we can put him back on the right track. He can add to our team, and I'll be the one that sets him straight. But it sounded like to me, when there was a beautiful lady in your life that kind of brought that light and opened your eyes to kind of getting on the right track.
Yeah, it's like all these powerful coaches, these big voices, and it's a 5'2", 120-pound girl that brings me to my knees.
That'll do it every time, man.
That's right.
I mean, you got to remember, you were being wooed by Morgan Wooten, one of the greatest high school basketball coaches at all time. Played here. You go down past Paul Westphal. I mean, people forget he won an NBA championship with the Lakers.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure did.
When you can play, a lot of people give you, as many chances as they can find, as long as they can get you through the application process. Admissions is what I meant to say. As long as admissions will accept you, they'll get you in.
That's right. Thank God we didn't have social media back then, or I wouldn't have stood a chance.
Yeah. Yeah. So you get down now. Did you go down there and play ball in Birmingham?
Yeah, so I basically transferred from a JUCO in Florida, ended up at Birmingham Southern, and I played my junior and senior year here. So what was great was when I transferred in, they were NAIA. I don't know if you remember NAIA.
Yep.
It was
Still
really
some
good
around.
competition. I mean, NAIA was actually some of the best hoopers that they didn't have grades. So
Yep.
they couldn't get into major D1, but man, cats could ball. So
Yeah. Shepherd College was at NAIA, Fairmont State, where Anthony Tank Naylor played. Yeah.
Yeah, Life in Atlanta they were beasts, man. Lewis Clark. Yeah, there was some teams out in California, but yeah, ended up playing 2 years. We ended up going Division I, transitioning my senior year. And then later, about I think 5 years after that, they went D3, and kind of now the college is actually not even there. I joke with people. I was like, bro, that college stayed open to get me through, get my scholarship worked out, get my life launched, and now we can shut the doors.
So it's not even there anymore.
No, I mean the location is there, but they went bankrupt, and there's been a couple colleges that've been trying to buy the campus for the last 2 or 3 years. So we'll see what happens. What's fascinating, I have to mention this, kind of two things. Number one, my social security number starts with 205. The area code of Birmingham, Alabama is 205. Now you just can't make this shit up. Being born in DC, in that area, basketball, really just, being welcomed and embraced by the Black community. And then, of all places, screwing my life up royally, and God saying, I'm going to put you in Birmingham, Alabama, the hub of the civil rights, where there's been a whole lot of division between races and, different socioeconomic groups. And so, it's kind of a story and a plan. It's like, dude, I'm not that smart. Like, I'm not that good. I couldn't have charted out, my future and been like, yeah, I'm going to end up in Birmingham of all places. But Birmingham Southern College, literally the campus, they told us in orientation, listen, when you leave out of the campus, don't turn right. When you leave out of the campus, you turn left, and then you get on the interstate and you go to Homewood and you go to Hoover. And the reason they said that is because when you turn right, that's the hood. Yeah. Like that's the worst part of Birmingham, Ensley. That's where there's the most number of homicides. I mean, and so what I did after they told me about orientation, I turned right. I'm like, I need to go see.
Yeah, check it out.
What's over here? But Blaine, that's where I work now. That's the part of Birmingham that I spend my time laboring, is Ensley, which is literally like you could throw rocks over the fence of Birmingham Southern and hit the houses in Ensley. So even God bringing me to that college, it's like, bro, by the way, your work is right next door. You're not going to have to go very far when you graduate.
If you're just tuning in, you're tuning in to the last of the good old boys. Blaine Young, Billy Shreve here. We're talking with Jason Williams, who played here in Frederick, Maryland at Governor Thomas Johnson. Ended up in Birmingham, Alabama, through just a kind of a long, unusual journey that God put in front of him. And now he stayed. Why did I was surprised. You seem like to me, when like it's done, you're like, man, I am packed and I'm out of here. But you stayed in. What made you stay in Birmingham, Alabama?
Winters in DC.
I thought you were going to say the fish fries and the barbecue.
Yeah.
Well, that too. That was going to be number two. Number two was going to be, man, barbecue and sweet tea.
Oh yeah.
And then number three is, the Alabama football and college scene is crazy here, man. It's been that way since I moved here. It just got really exciting when Nick Saban came and took over. But really, the whole reason I stayed, Blaine, is because I was in love and ended up getting married and having a daughter. So that was number one. But those other things, the weather, the sweet tea and barbecue, I love it. And again, Birmingham is just a very unique place. I feel like oftentimes it's maybe the worst places that have had the most historical problems with progress, right? It's the places that, Bull Connor was at with fire hoses and it was called Birmingham in the 50s and 60s, right? Because of just the amount of injustice and things that were going on. And it's like, what better place to serve God and see his love on display than a place where there's been a whole lot of dysfunction and problems.
You were talking about you reborn right before your 25th birthday. Was there any point that you thought you were in a situation you thought, I'm not getting out of this alive, or I'm not getting out of this one. I'm going to do a good stint in jail?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And it was jail or death. So, I mean, those were the two options. And of course, being arrested 6 times, I spent time in jail. But you know, I've got 17 near-death experiences, everything from crashing my 300ZX over 100 miles an hour on I-270, you know, trying to drive back to George Mason in the middle of the night, to being tied up and having guns put to my head at John Hanson, you know, on 6 and Bents. And, you know, just a lot of interactions, you know, getting robbed at Go-Go's in DC. And, I mean, I got robbed at least 10 times, man. So it like, for me, I'm one of those, I feel like I'm one of those rare people. Like, I don't fear death. Like, literally when people talk about God knows, and has numbered the hairs on your head, and God has, you know, kind of your life charted out, and he knows when you're going to take your last breath. Like, I believe that more than anything. And so why would I ever be afraid? I mean, I shouldn't be here. I should be gone.
Yeah.
And so, you know, that's one of my motivations is I live every day. Like, this could be it, man. Like, this could be the last day.
Bar
like,
time, right?
What are you going to leave? Yeah. I mean, money doesn't talk at funerals. People do.
That's right.
And
there's no U-Hauls behind hearses.
There you go, man.
Can't take it with you.
That's right. That's right.
But, you know, so at what point, you know, you said you've been arrested 6 times, right?
Man, I had jail conversions, Blaine. You know, Lord, you get me out. God, you get me out of this. But I didn't know who God was because I never read the book. I was dependent on what everybody else told me about who God was. You know, and basically at the mercy of whatever doctrine or dogma that they champion. You know, the people that cared and came around, you know, that's basically what I knew. So I tell people there was never a time I didn't believe in God. I'm not that smart. Like I'm not that smart. Like, when I look at intelligent design and everything, I'm like, I didn't believe in the God of the Bible at the time. But there was never a time that I didn't believe in God, because I can't make sense of how something this intelligent just happens out of nowhere. You know, and I mean, even science can't deal with that and reconcile that. There's elements where it's like, this is, you know, things they're learning about the brain still that are just staggering. The way we have DNA and fingerprints, it was just hard for me to believe that there wasn't a God, but I just didn't know where to turn, Blaine, in those moments. I'd listen to Tupac, you know, only God can judge me. And, you know, hey, there's got to be a heaven for a gangster. So, you know, this life, it ain't going to be good, but heaven will await me because I've suffered here. You know, I had hell on earth. And I think that's, you know, that's kind of a lot of us, is we have this eclectic theology or this understanding of God and how we make sense of humanity and the world. And most of the time it's not because we've done any work trying to figure out anything. People are telling us, and, you know, we're kind of being indoctrinated into the system and what things they promote. So
what I'm thinking about now is, you know, God puts you in Birmingham, Alabama. You're finishing up school. Now you got an arrest record, right? You've been arrested 6 times.
Yeah. I was on probation for like 4 years after I moved here.
And I'm getting to a point, because not everybody can do that, then get out of school and find a career or a calling. Now, you're a very personable guy. You've got charisma, you've got confidence. So you got a lot going for you, but there's a lot of people that have, you know, arrests on their records that they can't ever shake from them, and they're stuck doing minimum wage jobs, or they'll never get the break to the mid-level manager or an upper management or whatnot. So you get out of school. Where'd you go from there? What'd you decide that you're going to do once you got out of school there at Birmingham, Alabama?
Man, for the first probably 2 years, I just had a come apart, because my whole life was based on basketball. My whole identity was wrapped around, I'm Showtime, man. People come watch me play, cheer me. And so I had opportunities to go overseas, but they weren't good opportunities, Blaine. And with the amount of time that I spent over there, again, being in a relationship at the time, I was like, it's not worth it. I'm going to stay here and work. So, man, I spent probably 5 years trying to find my way. I was in, like you said, I'm charismatic. So I was like, hey, guy like me, sales. So I was in a variety of sales, ended up in car sales for about 5 years. Actually was doing really well. I mean, I made 6 figures selling cars. So, I always grinded. I always hustled, man. I never, was a lazy person. I always put my hand to the plow. And so whatever I did, I wanted to be really good at it. But, what happened was I began to like really, what's interesting was, my wife, when she first met me, like our first Christmas, she gave me a Bible. Now I told her, like, I don't do that Jesus religion stuff, so don't even ask me. And she gave me a Bible and she's like, God, showed me you're going to preach. And I'm like, yeah, okay. That sounds great.
That.
Yeah. But man, around 2005, 2006 is when I really got a hunger. And this is where the church often misguides us, man. I think what happened to me was natural. You get saved out of a life of crazy, right? And all of a sudden you meet God and you're filled with love, like a guy who didn't really have the affirmation and validation from his earthly father now feels loved and validated by the one who created you. And it's great feelings. And I think, unfortunately, then we tell guys like, go into ministry, because you love God so much, you need to go get a degree in God and like go pastor a church. And it's like, no, like, just go back doing what you were doing, but do it different and do it better and do it with God at the wheel, inhabit those areas and roles. So, but for me, I ended up leaving sales and, I tell people I walked away from a 6-figure income to go work at a moving company for $10.50 an hour for a year. So I could go to Bible school, so I could get my master's of divinity. I sacrificed. I lived months in Atlanta away from my family. And at this time, my daughter was just born. She was like 6 months old and I had to go to Atlanta for work, for a number of months. And so I struggled, man, to find my way. I spent some time, pastoring the church and man, dude, I knew right away, right? Because when you go into seminary, it's basically like, all right, when you got 2 routes, 2 avenues when you get done, you can go into the church and, be pastoral, or you can go into the nonprofit world. And I'll never forget because I got a chance to pastor a church. And after about 6 months, Blaine, I'm like, I'm just meeting with other people. And I'm like, man, I don't know what to do with these folks, man. They messy, like they don't know do what God, called them to do. And like, I'm trying to get people involved in inner city work. And like, don't nobody want to do nothing. People don't give their money. Nobody wants to volunteer. And he looked me in the eye and he was like, Jason, I just got one question for you. The people there, do you love them? And dude, I literally resigned because I've always been honest. And I was like, you know what? I don't.
Hey.
I don't. I've never. That's terrible.
Not many people can be that
think
honest
that way, right? It's like, how in the world?
Honesty.
But you know what? Because of the intellectual regiment by which you go through this process of learning information and regurgitating information, nobody ever asked me when they qualified me for pastoral ministry, what was your relationship like with your father? Do you have any trauma in your life? You got any sexual abuse in your past? I mean, that to me is kind of really important.
Yeah.
Maybe even over above,
big question.
The reason you can give, the ontological reason for the existence of God. It's like, well, you can know all this crap, in your mind and be an intellectual, but there's a disconnect from your heart and your soul and your spirit. And that's so much of what we see today. It's so much of what we see today is incongruence. It's people that think or claim this is who I stand for. This is what I represent. And it's like, but we're looking at the life and we're like, this kind of doesn't make sense in light of what you're saying you're about.
Yeah.
Which is
so
grace
when
and
did
mercy.
you segue? When did you segue to the mentoring part? Because I know that you got very involved with some organizations, and then of course you start about just starting your new business.
Dude, you're walking us through this journey perfectly, man. So fast forward, I graduate, and in 2000,
you graduated from seminary.
Graduated from seminary,
Okay.
and started a nonprofit called the Aspire Movement. And the idea was, for too long, people have, in trying to do good to poor people, we've done harm for poor people because we look at them as somebody who needs to be fixed, not as a person, a relationship where I can learn, I can benefit. There's things that this person has to offer me. You know, it's very transactional, one direction. So I founded this mentoring program on this idea of mutually transforming relationships. You get paired up with a fourth grader and you commit to them until they graduate high school. Like you do life with them. You know, you treat them as you treat your own children. Right. And so I don't even think that's our website. Aspiremovement.org.
Danny got the wrong. What's the website?
Yeah, no worries, man. Hey, look, they pulled me off that site anyway, man. That's a long story for another podcast, but
okay.
A prophet has no reward in his hometown. But in any case, with that program, over 850 youth were mentored. We raised $3 million in the 10 years that I was the executive director. We did a lot of good. And I still have all 5 relationships of the young men that I started with as 8, 9-year-olds that are now 24, 23. And in fact, the 19-year-old is my partner in the company that I started back in September. And so I've brought him in. He works with me in my nonprofit work with youth. So when I go into high schools, he comes with me. I send him into elementary and middle schools. We both work together with the pressure washing company. And so, dude, it's been beautiful because those are my best friends, Blaine. Like, it's not like I'm the mentor and they're the kids and like, yeah, it's like, no, like we are best friends, man. And when I'm going through it, they're there for me. You know, when 98% of my community turned their back on me, when I had an affair, when I ended up going through a divorce, like it was my young men that stood by me. Why? Because I stood by them when they ran away from home. I stood by them when they were in Mississippi getting arrested for 2 pounds of marijuana. You know, it's this relentless pursuit of the good for their lives. I just want to see their good. And because of that, they've reciprocated that to me. And that's what it's all about. And so, you know, mentoring to me was really, it was like the lifeblood. Like when I started doing that and I've continued to do that, that's when I realized like, that's it for me. That's my purpose. Invest in the next generation, because the more time I spend with them, networking, opening up doors, teaching them skills, exposing them to opportunities, the more that we do this, like the better I feel, because you're getting better. You know, all of these kids, they were the first in their family to go to college. You know, they were the first in their family to, you know, sign on for $50,000 a year jobs. And man, that's what it's all about, because at the end of the day, you can climb the highest ladder to the highest.
Fast forwarded my story a little bit, but what was good was, and I was getting to that. You
cut me off, man. I talk too much, Blaine.
No, because I want people to understand. No one's perfect. We're going to always sin. We're always going to stumble. But if you pick yourself up, brush yourself off, admit your sins, move on with a good heart, you know, God gives us grace. And I mention that because, you know, you just mentioned, I'm not going to dive into it, a little stumble again. Boom, bam, you start this power washing business. And I've watched some of the work that you've done with some of the youth there. And like you said, some of these kids that you mentored, and one of them's your partner, and you're still out there not slinging drugs, but, you know, slinging the message of, you know, you can sin, you can make mistakes, and
you will.
Yeah.
Now you will. And
everybody makes mistakes.
But I mean, that's what I really admire about you is, man, you're not stopping. There's some people, unfortunately, you know, the suicide rate is far higher than it should be. It's just, people say it's too difficult, I can't go on. Or they turn to addiction of some sort. Yeah. But now you've got this you're still mentoring, still doing your nonprofit work, started this power washing company, and tell us a little bit about that. What's going on with that there?
Yeah, man. Well, I've always, been entrepreneurial, and I've always wanted to kind of be a tent maker. And what I mean is I want to mentor, I want to work with young people, I want to provide opportunities. But the nonprofit world, you're constantly raising money. And you just, in order to do more work, you got to raise more money. Well, I wanted to create a business, a for-profit company that could generate revenue, that could create jobs, that could provide training opportunities for young people. And so there you see, our vision is we're masterful and we're missional. So there's an aspect of what we do that's highly professional. People call us and we just did a $4,000 roof, for a client. So, there's professionally trained technicians that do paid jobs that we get 5-star reviews. But then there's also an aspect and an element of what we do where at least 10% of our work, and it's probably more like 20%, is where we clean up communities, under-resourced communities, parks, schools, and we do so utilizing the students that live in that neighborhood. And so they're getting paid on the spot, they're getting workforce development training, they're getting opportunities for scholarships. And so, we're not saying, hey, y'all are going to be pressure washers. We're saying, hey, learn how to work, get connected to some opportunities. And then, man, we got pipeline. I mean, I'm connected with contractors, plumbers, HVAC technicians.
I think you kind of know everybody in Birmingham, don't you? You see, like, you kind of like me, you walk down the street and either they're hollering with the hand up or they're giving you the finger, one of the two.
There it is,
love
man.
You or they're like, hey,
or they want to get. Well, in Birmingham, they want to give you the finger, but they too nice to do it.
That's not the case in Frederick.
Exactly. Yeah, you know how we roll.
Yeah. So that's great. So the business is really taking off well?
Yeah, the business is doing good. It's had its share of problems, like anything. But, we entered in during the cold weather season, and now that it's kind of warming back up, we're about to hit spring and everything's going to be popping. We're really excited about the potential. We've actually got a couple investors that are at the table right now to help us do some capacity building.
Franchise.
Well, yeah, and I mean, maybe I just want to make it work here. I remember when I had my mentoring program, I immediately had this national global mindset. And the problem with that is then you don't focus in on doing it with excellence right here. And so with this company, I'm like, yeah, we'll see. But let's go ahead and laser in all of our processes, all of our procedures, the way that we train, the way that we work, and let's raise up a team, of young people. So it's exciting, man. I love it. I wake up at 3:15 every morning. I usually go to bed about 10:30, 11 o'clock. And like, I am in grind season. And I say that because it's season. I know you can't run like this forever. I get it. We need to have breaks and rest and unwind. But I went through a real challenging year of my life where I was almost on the sidelines, Blaine, because I listened to what people said. It's like, you're a sinner. How you gonna impact these kids?
I know firsthand what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like I agree with you. I'm like, you're right. If it depends on me, like I don't deserve to do this. If it's depending on me to be like the right person every time, then like, don't sign me up. I'm not him. But God's like, no, I take the throwaways of society. I take the people that nobody wants. And that's how I build my kingdom, because then people can't get credit. If we're doing it right and we don't have any, we don't have any baggage behind us or anything. It's like, well, number one, you probably hit it very well. But number two, I don't know that that's really going to effectively reach people that are hurting right now and people that are suffering. And that's the beautiful part, is like that I've come to the realization. I teach my young men this. It's like, why suffering? Why? Because it makes you human, and it makes you understand that this world is not all there is. Because if that's what we're looking for and that's what we're putting all of our eggs in the basket, it's like, dude, good luck, because it's going to let you down. I don't care what it is in this world you think's going to hold you. It ultimately will not.
Well, like you asked me about sharing it on my social media, and I texted you back and said, I deleted. I don't have any social media. I mean, the only social media that I have right now is this podcast. But
Okay.
I mean, there's some people told me when I went through it, you need to leave town. You're not wanted.
And I wanted to, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, it's amazing. And you and I talked a little bit, and now I purposely go out of my way. If I know somebody's struggling, if I know it, I reach out to them.
Yeah.
Because man, a kind word or how you doing? Do you want to have lunch? Do you want to talk? I mean, when you're on top of the world, as you know, and you know it because, you probably from either playing at TJ or when you played your freshman year, when you're on top of the world, man, everyone is your friend, slapping you on the back, wanting to be your buddy. But when you screw up, you find out quick who's in your corner. And you mentioned, and you wrote a letter for me when we started the movement here in Frederick to name the basketball court after former coach Tom Dickman at TJ. And I was shocked when I started that process that it hadn't been done, and I had to go through and fill out all these forms and get former players like yourself to write letters. But you mentioned before we started about how when you were in trouble, he was still advocating for you and trying to get you into community college. And a lot of people don't realize how much Tom Dickman advocated for the people he cared about. And I know he's a believer and follower of Jesus Christ also.
Yeah.
And we were able to get that accomplished. Hopefully one day you can return and shoot one more 3 on that court at TJ and see his name on it.
Yeah, man, I'd love that. And to get to the dang barbecue that we've been doing for the last few years, it never works out on my schedule.
I know. Hey, real quick question. You started a podcast. I want to talk. We got about 3 to 5 more minutes.
Let's
we
go.
Gotta take a break to go. Our next guest, Guy Burhans, who's running for county council. But tell me about this podcast because I've been following a little bit. But I want you to tell everyone that's watching the last of the Good Old Boys with Blaine Young and Billy Shreve. What's this podcast about? Where can they get it?
Yeah. Oh, man, it's exciting. So just go to YouTube and type in Barbecuing Sacred Cows. It's also the Facebook page, Barbecuing Sacred Cows. But a sacred cow is an idea, more a tradition, something that we shouldn't touch. Cows over in India are deemed sacred. And so, don't touch them, let them do whatever. And I feel like there are so many, whether economic, political, religious, there's so many isms and things that we receive at face value that we don't really critically think about. And, I think all of us on this pod have seen like the division over the last, we can say 5 years, we can really say 20 years. Really, I've kind of felt it ever since Obama was elected. And then when you had the first Trump, it's just, there's been so much of this. And so, for us, it's like, we want unity. We want to bring people, together and not divide people. And so critically thinking over a lot of these issues, identifying some of these cows and calling them out for what they are. And I just feel like, my gosh, you think my story's crazy. My co-host spent 20 and a half years in prison for murder. Yeah. All right. So, and that was his third charge. He had a assault and escape and then murdered a guy, but Jesus met him in prison and he started building communities and with the most vulnerable people with, healthy faith dorms in the midst of chaos. And go watch the Alabama Solution, man, because that is, again, one of those things we're aiming at is we got to talk about it. Barbecuing Sacred Cows will bring up the fact that the state of Alabama boasts, oh my gosh, we have the most Christians. Oh my gosh, we're the Bible Belt. We boast that we love God and we parade that so much. And yet we're in the bottom 3 in every statistical category in the United States for quality of life, for healthcare, for how we treat the poor. I mean, these people vote for things like putting the 10 commandments up in schools alongside of legislating prayer in schools while simultaneously getting rid of free breakfast and lunch for poor kids. Now, let's put up love God and love our neighbor as a symbol while we don't love our neighbor practically and functionally. And so we're going to put them cows on the grill and cook them up.
Good. Well, I'm glad you're doing great. And I want to thank you very much for joining us. And I'll be staying in touch. And I might even have to take a trip down there and come see you and try some of that barbecue and sweet tea.
There you go,
I might
man.
end up on your doorstep.
I'll take you to a few spots, man.
You gotta get some of that fish too, man. That's good stuff down there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I appreciate you guys so much. Thanks, Blaine.
No problem. For those that are tuning in, the last of the good old boys, we've been talking with Jason Williams, who was a legend on the basketball court, shooting them 3-pointers at Thomas Johnson High School, and has an incredible life journey story. We wanted to share that with you all. And Jason, you take care, and we're going to take a quick break and be back with Kai Burhans on the last of the good old boys with Blaine Young and Billy Shreve.
Sponsored by A&S Construction is a local and award-winning woman and minority-owned business located right here in Frederick, servicing Frederick County and surrounding areas. A&S Construction specialize in roofing and siding, windows and gutters, and they can even build you a new patio or deck. Call 301-703-2157 or email info@ansconstruction.net. You can get $750 off any roof or siding replacement or $50 off any roof repairs. Just tell Sandra that Danny sent you.
Welcome back to the last of the good old boys with Blaine Young and Billy Shreve. I want to thank our previous guest that was just on, Jason Williams, with all of the good work and God's work he's doing in Birmingham, Alabama. And now we're joined with Kai Burhans, who is a candidate for county council. And what is that district? What district is that? 5?
That is District 2. So Urbana, parts of like Linganore, Newmarket, Iamsville, Mount Airy, and Monrovia.
All right. Give me a little look up at your camera there. There you go. See, that's what we wanted to do. Give a little look up at the camera so we can see you. So, Kai, you're entered in. When's the filing deadline, by the way?
I believe it's next Tuesday, February 24th. So, still need some positions filled. We need another at-large candidate, and we need someone in District 3. We'll see what happens in these state senate seats in the city here. But yeah, we are approaching the deadline.
Now, your father, we had on the show a while back, former mayor of, or not former mayor, current mayor of Newmarket.
Yep.
Been there a long time, and you've decided to jump in the fray and now put the Burhans hat into the ring for county council. We talked to your father about all the history of politics with your grandfather, Hagerstown, all that good stuff. But what has driven you to say, I want to run for county council?
Well, I mean, it's always just been, my family's been a service-driven family. I mean, we are very heavily involved in the community. We are, involved with our local Rotary Club. Obviously, my dad's been the mayor for 20 plus years. My grandmother was a part of the DC Republican Women's Group, a part of the Garden Club. So, we've just always been involved in the community, and it was just, that's kind of what drove me. I want to serve the people. I currently do it again with my Rotary Club, with the Young Republicans. We're out and about in the community, and I just like connecting with people, learning the issues, and really fighting for what makes Frederick County great.
So you've been out there knocking on doors for a while and decided, okay, I can do this.
Yeah, I've worked a lot of campaigns, worked congressional campaigns, Board of Education. We worked with the last county executive candidate for the Republicans, Michael Huff. So we knocked a lot of doors. And, it was really when Mason Carter won in District 5, a lot of my neighbors came up to me and they were like, that guy's 18 years old. How old are you? 22? It's like, why can't you do that? And so that's kind of what got me thinking. And then I started looking into the issues, and, I saw how much our county continually increased its spending, increased taxes, and, along with a plethora of other issues. And I decided, it's time someone gets involved and does something about these things. And, it also happens to coincide with, I feel like, a youth movement in the Republican Party right now. So, I put my hat in the ring, and it's been going great ever since.
You and Mason Carter are good friends also, right?
Yeah. So we kind of came up in the Young Republicans together. I joined right after the election in 2022. We had lost a lot of seats, and I said, all right, we got to change something here. We got to start winning So I decided to join, and I got involved with the Republican Club, the Young Republicans. And from there, we made a lot of friendships. Justin Wages, who is the Republican Club president, I served with him on that board. So it was kind of natural that we all kind of grew up together and, really formed a close friendship as we go into the political world.
Now, Danny, can you put that website back up there? What was that slogan? Putting people,
property, and prosperity first. So
let's go. Let's talk about, you talked about the people. What's up with the property?
So property, obviously District 2 is home to one of the biggest issues in the county right now with MPRP. We have the eminent domain issue going on right now where they're going to take people's property, whether it's from farms, local businesses, or just private residents. So that's a big issue for us right now. We have to work with our state delegation to, put pressure on the governor to stop this project because, we can't force people to give up their property for our poor planning. We also need to, push for more energy independence. Right now, I believe we're bringing in, importing 40 to 50% of our energy, and it's going to increase to 60%. We need to change that. And that starts by, being an advocate from the county level and working with our state representatives to get that done.
And then prosperity. What's
prosperity. So, that kind of relates to our small businesses. It really relates to everything, but it really revolves around our small businesses. I've gone around the District 2 and talked to a lot of small business owners, and they all kind of say the same thing. It's really expensive to open and operate here, and the permitting process takes forever. So, we really need to figure that out. We need to look at possibly expanding the planning and permitting department. If they don't have enough hands on deck, we need to really expand that. We also need to look at what kind of permits might be redundant, or what do we need to get rid of, because obviously there's an obvious problem with permitting and planning, and we need to figure that out.
So how's it going? I mean, have you been on the campaign trail? Where you've been knocking doors? What have you been doing to get your message out? I know you headed to a meeting tonight. Right?
Yeah. So knocking doors, obviously trying to go to all the community meetings you can. I work full time, so it can be hard to kind of keep up with everything, especially as we're getting into the busy season. But I do everything I can. But like I said, knocking doors, going to events, doing podcasts like this. And just, getting out there and meeting the people is the biggest thing I'm doing right now. So it's been going great. Had a lot of support from when I announced, and then we had my kickoff a couple weeks ago. We had 75 plus people there. It was a really good time. A lot of people came out to support. So the campaign is really rolling right now.
And I forgot to tell our previous guest, Jason Williams, but I know your dad's a big Terrapin fan.
Oh yeah, I grew up.
Terrence Morris will be on the show next week. So former TJ high school player, University of Maryland Terrapin, NBA player, played overseas. He'll be joining the Last of Good Old Boys podcast for the first segment, and we're going to catch up. He's living in Texas now, and we'll get caught up with Terrence and what he's doing. So make sure you tell your dad that, so he tunes in.
I will. He'll love that. He'll love that.
So what's your dad think about all that?
He's really happy about it. He's really proud. He thought it was a little crazy at first. He was like, "Are you sure you want to jump into this whole world?" And we sat and debated about it. But I said, no, this is what I want to do. I want to serve the people. And he's really proud. Obviously he's been doing it for forever. I think your line is he's been in power longer than President Putin of Russia. So yeah. I like to joke with him about that. My cousin actually had a joke once that
I did come up with that line.
Yeah.
He's been there longer than Vladimir Putin.
Yeah. So my cousin once had a line that says he gets Saddam Hussein like numbers in the election. So, but he loves it, and so that's kind of where all this came from. A lot of my fiscal policy inspiration came from him. With talking about like a hierarchy of needs, building that within the budget, focused on, good schools, drivable roads, and public and safe communities. So, he's all in support of this, and he's knocking doors with me. So, yep.
So you came from a district that first was served by Tony Schmelik.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And then Steve McKay.
Yep.
Those two drastically different. I don't know where you stand with Steve McKay. Or what his opinion on who all's entered that race, if he even has one. But how would your your representation or leadership style be different than what the district's receiving now?
I mean, the one thing I will say is that both Steve and Tony were fiscal budget hawks. I mean, and you won't see anything different from me. As far as land use, obviously there was some differences there. A lot of people like to say you can either be anti-growth or pro-growth, and I don't really see myself falling in either of those categories, more of in between. Obviously, District 2, you have 270. It sits in between 270 and I-70. So there's a lot of push for growth in that area. So we need to really figure it out and push for sustainable growth policies that, allow us to kind of help bring down some of the cost of housing, allow us to add supply, but, also allow us to kind of keep some of the rural aspect of Frederick County, because, that's what people move here for. They want, good schools and good communities, but they also want to be able to not go that far out of their town and be able to see the rolling hills and all the farms and, the really valuable landscape of Frederick County.
And then tonight you headed off to a meeting for what, data centers, right?
No, that was earlier. That was earlier.
Oh, it was earlier today.
Yeah, it was earlier. So they had the second benefits meeting, Winchester. They had the first one down, I believe, in District 1 at St. Joe's. So so that was obviously a big meeting. So the data centers are a hot topic right now. I don't know if I've ever seen a hotter topic in the county.
Monrovia Town Center.
Monrovia Town Center's there too, but I don't
Selling
know.
the nursing home.
Yeah,
there were a couple.
I'll give you a few.
You guys have some experience with those stuff, so
I'll give you a couple.
But the data center.
By the way, one of the things, Kai, that you can go in and let everyone know in the county, when you get elected, the two issues that we got hammered with was to have a private company run the nursing home, Citizens Montefiore. As of today, you've had 8 years of Jan Gardner, 3.5 of Jessica Fitzwater.
Right.
That's 11.5. Who runs the nursing home now?
I would say, I guess,
Private company. Private company.
The same.
So apparently, if it was so wrong, they had 11.5 years to reverse the decision, and it was not reversed. When we transferred Head Start from being a county-run program to the YMCA, that was another one. 11.5 years later, who's running Head Start?
I would say, is it still the YMCA?
It's the YMCA winning awards. So, I know that you'll never read about it, hear about it, but two of the major decisions that were done during that administration are still in place today, which I find. But you're going to find this guy.
Yeah.
You're going to, data centers are hot, and then they're going to move on to something else.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, I just don't know where you go. Because if you don't want housing, you don't want heavy industrial, you don't want light industrial, you don't want I tell you what, I know what they don't want. They don't want to pay more taxes.
Right. Yeah.
Well, if you don't have revenue, explain to me how you accomplish that when you got the school board looking for more money, your emergency personnel needing more help and wanting raises. So don't get me preaching tonight, but I mean, I admire you for running. I wish we had more people participate in running. But at the same time, you're walking into an emerging county with a lot of crossroads.
It's as when I first thought about running, I forget who told me, but they were like, District 2, huh? And I was like, yeah. I was like, that's my home district. And they're like, oh, do you know that's the hardest district to run for in the county, that everything happens there? I'm like, well, I do now. So, it was a waking up experience.
Tough district to knock doors into.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of doors. I mean, you have
got a few shotguns.
Yeah, well, it depends on where in the district you are. I mean, if you're going towards Mount Airy, maybe. Urbana, not so much, but there's a lot of density in those doors.
Monrovia area.
Monrovia, you got Iamsville. It's a lot. I mean, it's a diverse district too. I mean, split it down the middle. I mean, one side's very more on the conservative side. One side's a little bit more on the Democrat liberal side. So very interesting. A lot of kind of personalities you have to be able to juggle and, you know, be able to work with in order to be able to win that district over. So it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. The campaign goes into the general. You know, should I make it out of the primary? I feel like I will. I feel very good about my campaign right now. So, you know, it's going to be fun, and I, you know, look forward to making a lot of relationships with people.
Absolutely. And I want to thank you for coming on. Where's the best way someone could find more information? Your website?
Yeah, website, KaiBurhans.com. You can, I have four tabs on there, my issues tabs. You can get involved. You can sign up for the newsletter, request a yard sign. You can go to my Facebook, Kai Burhans for Frederick County. My Instagram is Kai Burhans for County Council. That's a number 4 for County Council. So, or you can email me at citizens4 for Kai Burhans at gmail.com.
But Kai Burhans, K-A-I.
Yeah, K-A-I. Yep,
right.
Kai Burhans. Yep.
That has everything, right?
Yeah, that
That's
has
the central hub.
that is
That is the
KAIBurhans.com is the center of it all.
I often kid your dad about the name he picked.
Oh, I know. Well, I have a good joke about that, and you know, think of me as the good Kai. So there you go.
There you go.
The good Kai.
So I want to thank everybody for tuning in. You've been watching The Last of Good Old Boys with Blaine Young, Billy Shreve. Like I said, you're not going to find me on social media. So you're not going to find me on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. The only way you're going to find me is right here on The Last of the Good Old Boys podcast. And Danny, they can go to Everything Frederick, I think, on the Facebook page. They can go to the YouTube page and subscribe. So if you want yourself some Blaine Young and you're looking to get the Blaine Young fix,
And everyone is.
I don't know about everyone, but I can tell you this much. I see people. I saw someone the other day and they're like, "Oh, you're still around?" I'm like, "What are you talking about?" They're like, "Oh, we thought you moved to Towson." I said, "Towson? I didn't move anywhere."
You know what I saw earlier today? I saw a Blaine Young for County Executive sign.
I don't know where you saw it.
I saw it on Monocacy Boulevard. It was just sitting out there. So I saw that.
Hey, it was a brand new sign. A brand new sign.
But anyway, we've got some great shows lined up for you next week. Terrence Morris, that played for Thomas Johnson and the University of Maryland and on to the NBA, living in Houston. We're going to hear from Terrence. We'll try and get William Petey Rose in here to kind of talk about the old days in Frederick and a lot of the they call them restaurants now with alcohol, but the bars, some of the gambling days and what went on back. We talked to Kids Cafe and all those good stuff. And then actually the following week, Chip Jewell's going to be in here. So we got Chip Jewell coming in. We're going to talk about the history of the fire service, Central Alarm, 911, all that good stuff. And then we got Tom King lined up. I'm working on many others, folks. Like I mentioned, Bert Anderson to Scott Bronca, Food Pro. We're gonna get Bernard Brown back in the mix. Unfortunately, he could not be here tonight, and that's how we had to rearrange the schedule. So we're talking to people that I don't have a problem with talking to politicians. I don't have a problem talking with you, Kai, but that's not what this is about. But we are going to have it available to those that are running for office. And those that have served in office, past and present. So we will mix it in, but you're going to hear from a lot of cast of characters that helped build Frederick to what it is today, and the cast of the new characters that will build it for tomorrow. So, Kai, I'm sure we might talk to you in the future. Never know. We might even get in here to have some fun and do some debates. Who knows?
Oh, there we go.
There you go. Let me tell you, if you want to stir the pot, you better be ready to lick that spoon. So we're going to wrap it up here in our new studio over here, Warman's Court. Now, I want to make sure you know where we're at. You know where the Domino's is. I point that out because I like to eat. So you can get a meat lover's pizza, double pepperoni, stop in, say hi. We got some nice lounge chairs here. Randy would like a slice of pizza. I want a slice of pizza. So I like the thin crust, the double pepperoni. They still got them little cinnamon sticks, Billy.
Oh, they're the greatest, man.
We need some of that. We need 2
double
orders
pepperoni, thin crust, couple cinnamon sticks.
Billy's a little guy, but them little guys can eat.
I can eat with the best.
Those little guys can eat. So we're going to wrap it up tonight. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to The Last of the Good Old Boys with Blaine Young and Billy Shreve. Good luck, Kai Burhans. Thank you, Jason Williams. And we will talk to you next week Same time, same YouTube channel at 6 p.m. right here. Ask the Good Old Boys with Blaine Young and Billy Shreve. Have a good night.
That's this week's conversation on The Last of the Good Old Boys. Join the discussion, drop your questions and comments, and be part of the conversation. Catch us live Wednesdays at 6 p.m. on the Everything Frederick Live YouTube channel, right here from Studio 401.